voices, bright minds, dreamers we stand with pride, where passion meets breakthrough, visions collide. Welcome to Glam Chemist.
Thank you for joining us for a new episode of the Glam Chemist. Today I'm chatting with Melissa Padua. In this conversation, we discuss everything from career to work-life balance. We laugh a little, so I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Welcome back to the Glam Chemist. I'm your host, Genesis Velazquez, and today we're here with Melissa Padua to share a little bit about her career in sales. So welcome to the podcast.
Hi, it's great to be here.
Yeah, let us know a little bit about yourself, just some information about what you're doing now.
Sure. So, again, my name is Melissa Padua, and I am currently head of Cosmetic Active Sales for an ingredient supplier that is based in Switzerland. So, I am currently overseeing all of the US sales. So, I oversee all of the sales for the US market for our company. And I also manage a small team, which is still growing and I'm still building at this moment. So I am excited for 2026 when I am able to finally complete the team and we can move full force into 2026.
How did you get involved in STEM to start with?
I say that being raised in an Asian household sort of predestines you for a career in STEM. So I guess I can sort of start there. You know, going through school, I think I just always leaned toward the sciences and math, and those are subjects that I always sort of excelled in. Interestingly, also had an interest in art, very random, but I think that sort of serves where I'll go with this. Going into college, I thought I would be pre-med and then quickly decided, hey, maybe that's not the route for me. I maybe don't see myself as, being in this profession. And so I switched my focus to just more of a sort of general biology, and completed that degree. And when I graduated, I was sort of pushed into more of like the healthcare, nursing industry, which again, I did try, but I felt in my heart, I don't think this is for me. And I have so much respect for people who are in, those professions. But it was one day my dad was watching a show on TV, like How It's Made, and there happened to be an episode on about cosmetic manufacturing. And he was like, hey, you got to see this. I think this would be so interesting and you'd love it. And so I watched it with him and I was just mesmerized, just seeing like tubes, bottles going across like a filling line. I don't know what it was, but I was just captivated and I thought, I need to know how this is done. So for me, I utilize my biology degree to somehow find my way into the cosmetic industry. This was back in the days when there was no LinkedIn, not really, the internet was still in its like infancy. And so I had to sort of go this old school route of applying at agencies. And actually, I started out doing nutritional supplements, interestingly, in R&D. And from there, I was able to find a temporary position at Neutrogena here in Los Angeles, which was kind of like my golden ticket. And from there, that was sort of my entry point, I'd say, into the cosmetic industry.
No, it's really cool. Like Neutrogena is such a great way to start, given that like there weren't limited resources for you to find opportunities. The fact that you started at such a great mastige is so cool. And the story of How It's Made, I was obsessed with that show, or I still am. I still watch it sometimes to go to sleep. I think it's like a rite of passage for kids in STEM
Yeah.
to love that show and just have like some sort of understanding of what the manufacturing process looks like. And it's a captivating, like our industry is really interesting. And even the fact that you started in some sort of creative space, I know that you also mentioned that the intersection between like creativity, science, and art is very intertwined, especially in our industry. How do you apply that into what you're doing now, or how have you applied that into your career?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, I think the cosmetic industry is literally where all those amazing things sort of intersect. So science and art, and just like the passion. Yeah, I feel like so lucky that I found, a place in an industry that embraces both. And so, you know, I've always, like, I had interest also like in makeup artistry. I pursued that for a little bit. And, you know, being young and not really knowing how to navigate my way into the industry, I told myself I'm going to learn like everything I can about, cosmetics, cosmetic industry. I wanted to just kind of immerse myself in as much as I could and learn everything I could. When I was working in R&D for nutritional supplements, I took actually a part-time job at the mall selling cosmetics at the beauty counter. So I think that's a little bit of how I sort of dipped into sales and learned like consumer buying behavior, which is super helpful for me, today. Not realizing it that then. And you learn a little bit about, you learn makeup artistry as well, and things like that, and that helped me translate into the cosmetic industry, like more of the science aspect of it when I went into like R&D, understanding, when you're developing a product, like who is this for, what would they want it to feel like, what are some fun, I don't know, aesthetics that could be incorporated into the product to make it feel good or fun to apply, for example. And I think all of that experience really helped me in the lab when I finally transitioned into the lab for cosmetics. And it was a lot of fun to develop products. But then, when I branched out into sales, a completely different realm, I took all of that experience with me from the lab, from the beauty counter, from manufacturing. And I hold that with me to this day when I go out and visit customers and I'm trying to, pitch, and promote active ingredients, for their formulations.
It's like a well-rounded experience. Like, I
Yes.
think what I like best about, or what I fell in love with this industry, is that I was a really good consumer. I love skincare, I love hair care, and I've always been really passionate about it. My grandmother owned a salon my whole life. So like I've been touching and feeling things for my entire life, and I think having that experience from the makeup counter where you're actually getting direct feedback on touch, feel, and consumer experience, it makes that R&D process that much easier. Or I
Mhm.
guess you're always having a really concise goal, because you know what people are looking for, as opposed to not having had that experience firsthand. You're kind of formulating into a circle sometimes, if
Yes.
you're not thinking of what the final product is going to touch and feel like for someone else. So I think that's really cool that you were able to do both while you were still figuring it out. It does make the process that much easier to develop, like when you're thinking of even just colors and textures and overall feel. You as the applicator of these things, you kind of already know what you're looking for, which makes the process a little bit more exciting too, and a little bit more creative because you can play.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I mean, I love it. I got to figure out what it is I love about it at this point. When you've done it for so long, I mean,
Yes.
when you've done it for so long, there's just a moment where you're like, okay, what do I do with this now? What can I, you know,
Mhm.
evolve it into? So, I mean, our listeners are aware of me going through my current pivot of careers. You did a little
Mhm.
bit of pivoting early on when you were deciding between pre-med and then bio and then R&D. How did you navigate that, and what kind of advice would you give young professionals when they're kind of deciding that for themselves?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think from a personal standpoint, I think it's definitely difficult to sort of step out of maybe what maybe your family or sort of has predestined for you. So I think it takes courage to do that, but I 100% encourage people who are trying to navigate their way through the industry to do that, to explore things. that interest you, because I feel like this is the time. This is a time for you to do that. And there's so many different directions you can go, especially, with the STEM degree, like even for yourself. There's so many different ways now, and possibilities. And I would say to try a lot. If you don't like it, that's okay. If you fail, that's okay. And that was really hard for me to learn. I thought, okay, if I choose this path, there's like no going back. you
That's how
know?
I feel. Yeah, it's like a weird pressure of like,
Yes,
cuz our path isn't easy to get to begin with.
correct. Yeah.
Pursuing anything in STEM requires a lot of dedication and a lot of
Yes.
work. So when you've already done it and you're like, "Well, I don't know if I want to change my mind now." It feels very daunting. It's a big
Yeah.
decision
It
to think of.
is.
Yeah.
And I feel that. I think, of course, I don't think it's really ever too late, because, even if you start out and you feel, my goodness, like this isn't really what I want to pivot. I really do feel that having STEM as sort of a foundation for your career will serve you in pretty much like every direction you want to go. I feel like, for me going
Yeah.
into sales, like everybody, though, like you think, oh my God, this is so weird. Sales is completely different. I never imagined myself going into sales. I was at a point in my life where I was just kind of like, I'm gonna, I'm gonna do this. And I think there also too has to be this part of you that is willing to just kind of take a leap of faith and just try something. And I do believe that if it didn't work out for you, or you didn't like it, you still have your STEM degree to really fall back on.
But you're absolutely right. I can fall back right into my degree and back into my experience.
Mhm.
But it is scary, and I'm at that place right now. So thank you for that advice,
Mhm.
because I'm at the point where it's like, do I take this? Do I fully commit to this and take the leap and hope for the best? And I'm not sure yet. I'm still deciding. I'm still at that point, but this advice helps.
No, I completely understand, like
Yeah.
where you're at and how that feels. But I mean, if you just look how far you've come too. Would you have thought you were starting a podcast and like talking to people about
Yeah.
STEM? I mean, there's your
Good point.
you've got like your
Yeah.
STEM in there, and I think that's pretty amazing. And this, you just never know. I think where something could take you, and I think if you're willing to obviously just kind of see it through and maybe go for the ride, it might take you to a place like you never thought you would be. I mean, I
Yeah.
kind of feel like that's how I was. I thought I would be in a lab forever, maybe working my way up to R&D, the top of R&D or something like that.
Mhm.
But life took me, like personal things in my life took me a different direction, and I found it very scary in the beginning when I transitioned into sales. But I've been in sales now for 8 years, and that feels like it flew by like really fast. And I do enjoy being on this side now. I mean, do I miss the lab? Yes, I do miss the lab at times. I wish I could just go and play and learn new things, because I feel like I've been out of touch for a bit. But you know I'm sure that
Yeah.
there's opportunities to still learn and keep up.
And what inspired you to transition from R&D to sales?
So I think it was a few things. I had been working in R&D for a while. Life happens. I got married, and then I had a baby, my first baby, and I had taken some time off. And when I re-entered the industry, I joined a brand, and the commute was just, it was really tough. It was like 2 hours each way because of traffic. And I feel like I was just missing out a lot, in life, kind of thing. And where I live, there aren't as many like contract manufacturers that you could work at. And one of my friends, well, actually, a couple of friends had suggested, hey, you should try sales. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't know why you would think I'd be good at this, but that's weird. But I said, okay, fine. I'll go to an interview and I'll just see what happens. I did not get a lot of the jobs. So I felt a little kind of discouraged, but I said, hey, I'm willing to try this out. And I kept interviewing and finally landed a job with a local family owned distributor of ingredients. And that's really where I learned, it was, it was challenging place. I really had to challenge myself, to sort of come out of my shell, I'll say, because yes, us lab people are branded as very introverted. They don't want to talk to people. And I'd say at heart, yeah, I was more of a shy person, but I was really pushed to go out there and figure things out for myself. And I'd say, I guess, make a name for myself because, you have to establish yourself as a salesperson. So a lot of it was like self initiated, and something I never thought I would see myself doing. And since I was there already, I thought, oh my goodness, I can't go back now because with having a young family, I will admit sales does allow you a sense of flexibility and sort of freedom in terms of like your scheduling, and your sort of like work life. I'll kind of just sort of say it like that in a sense because it is a lot of work. But
Yeah.
me transitioning into sales was, yeah, more, it was very, based where I was in my life, but also wanting to do something new because being at, the brand, things kind of were moving slowly. I didn't really see maybe opportunity for growth at the particular brand that I was at that time. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna try for something new. And that was my pivot point in my
Yeah.
career.
Sometimes R&D feels a little, it
Yeah.
can be monotonous, like it can be
Yeah.
very repetitive and you find yourself a little stuck in the same role for quite some time, which I understand why, you're trying to become an expert in your specific field or your specific interest, but it can get to be a little stagnant. And if you're a person who, needs a little bit of stimulation and maybe wants to try something new, you kind of have to get up and out. You can't really grow in the same direction as under other industries might be like a bit of a ladder that you can, find
Mhm.
yourself trying different things. When it comes to R&D, you tend to stay within the same lane, work your way
Mhm.
through that and then become the lead of that. This
Yes.
pivots us this brings us to a really good start. How did you end up being like in leadership? You said, you had to go from learning to open up out of your shell and become more social, and now you're leading an entire team. How did you manage to do all of that?
Yeah, it's so funny because I, again, one, never pictured myself in sales and never pictured myself as sort of like the leader. Um, and again, I kind of went for it. So after spending like 2 years at the family owned distributor, I saw the opportunity to join my current company, which was sort of like a rare opportunity I felt. So I jumped at it. And after a year there, my manager, who was at that time the head of sales, left our company. So there was a gap and there was nobody there to officially manage the US. And it was myself and another person handling, sales for the entire US. And I thought, hey, you know what? I think I'm just going to ask for it. And at that
I
time, I felt like
love that.
yeah, I know. It was very, I don't know, maybe like an audacious. I just said, "Hey, look, I'm interested to do this. I think I could take this on and, help make, grow this brand within the US." And I felt really driven, and determined to do this. And even in sales, I felt that sort of like hunger within me. So I kind of like harnessed all of that, and I told my big boss, I guess. He's the VP of cosmetics, and I just presented it to him. I said I want to do this, and he said, okay, like let's figure this out. So I think me, I guess, being bold enough to take that step and like ask for it and say like, I to ask, but like I said, I want to do this. I think took a lot of balls. Oh, I don't know if you say that, or confidence.
No, yeah, it does. And to think that like a couple of years prior to that, like you didn't even know if you could. And
Yeah,
now you're like asking for exactly what you want and getting it, you know?
yeah, and
That's
I think
awesome.
that was like the surprising part was like, okay, they said yes, and I mean yes, but not right away. So I did have a transition period into fully taking on the US. But, after that, like, yeah, I was in charge of the US and a small team. And, you know, this was during or like kind of like the aftermath of COVID. So,
That's really cool though. I like the fact that you like had the courage to ask for what you wanted and you were drawn to it and knew that if you didn't like cuz the reality is if you hadn't asked, that would have been a missed opportunity.
absolutely.
And it's another leap of faith like the one that we were talking about earlier where it's like you kind of have to bet on yourself and
Yes.
hope that everyone else agrees with you. I think that's the coolest story I've heard. Like just saying like, "You know what? I'm ready. Put me in, coach." Like, "I'm ready. Just trust me and I'll figure it
Yeah.
out." Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, again, another thing I never thought, like I said, never thought I would do. And yeah, I think you just have to bet on yourself, just like you said, um, to do other things in the industry and grow yourself.
How do you find yourself explaining the complexities of some of this nomenclature and some of the information that you have to pitch? How do you make it palatable for your customers? Like, what kind of advice would you give like young salespeople when it comes to communicating those things?
Sorry, I'm laughing because, girl, this is what I'm like still trying to figure out every day.
But hey, I mean, clearly you're doing something right. We need to know. The people need to know.
Well, let me say this. So, back in college, I was focused on like molecular cell biology, and then I switched to more general. Well, this job has come back to bite me in the butt because I feel like you're looking at these different pathways and parts of the skin and how the different functions and how all that works. And it's just like, oh my goodness, I
Yeah,
have
the
to
universe
explain
is
all
funny
this.
like that, right? It
It
prepares you
is.
when you don't realize you need preparing, and then
Yeah.
you're like, of course, this is coming up again.
I'm like, oh great. I'll be real honest here. I do struggle with that part. And it requires a lot of like studying, which I don't always have the time for. Luckily at our company, we have the group of scientists who actually develop the active ingredient. So I rely a lot on them to, explain this to me so that I'm understanding, or I have to see a visual, like those like science videos or something. And
I
I
totally agree.
yeah, like it is really difficult for me to visualize or just like look at a textbook and be like, oh, I get it. So
Yeah.
for me, I actually have to rely on a lot of studying, asking a lot of questions, and there's nothing wrong with that. And yeah, I think it's okay to not know everything. And they tell you that in sales, like you're not going to know everything. I am not a PhD scientist, so how can I possibly explain all of this stuff? But with a good support system, especially with my other like global sales colleagues, like we help each other out to explain a lot of these sort of like complex scientific topics, and simplify them for you know
Yeah.
easier, I guess, digestion of information, as best as I can, at least.
Yeah, I think that the reality is, Jen from the Eco Well said this in an episode previously. It's like never stop learning, always be
Yeah.
naturally inquisitive, and always be open to asking questions,
Yes.
which is sound advice to anyone who's listening that's considering, sales and you might have never done sales before. It's okay to not know, and knowing that the
Mhm.
resources are going to be there. And if you have a great company like yours, you can always lean on the understanding of others and be willing to learn from them, and actively, kind of brushing up on
Yeah.
things that you don't remember. No, it's really cool. And I love that you're being honest, and I appreciate the honesty, because we're all, I mean, for me, I did sales for it was a little daunting at the beginning, because I'd never
Mhm.
done sales before. I'd never really pitched ingredients before. I'm not like a formulator either, so I don't know all of the nomenclatures and all of the applications of things, and I don't know, I'm not quick with an inky. Like, I can tell you what a
Yeah, yeah,
consumer
yeah.
wants, but I can't always tell you what that means for a formulator. It
Sure.
was a little nerve-wracking. It was a little tough at the beginning. I had people to
Yeah.
lean on, which was helpful, but like I doubted myself a bit
Mhm.
sometimes.
Oh,
And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
this is really helpful. I really do appreciate your honesty, because it helps me also kind of relax a little bit, and hopefully our listeners
Oh,
can
yeah.
relax a little bit too, and just realize like
Oh,
we're
yeah.
all doing it for the first time. We're trying to figure it out.
Yes.
That brings me to, you mentioned that you believe soft skills are just as important as technical skills. So what
Mhm.
kind of soft skills do you think young people should be acquiring or working on in order to apply them into their careers?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, oh my goodness. I think about maybe, relationships, relationship building, how you talk to people, how you can read a room,
That's a big one. That's a
It
really
is.
important one.
It really is. You know, I feel like if you're really also in tune with yourself, are you a good listener? Are you really like hearing what someone's saying? Maybe you can develop or you can work on empathy and just kind of understanding where other people are coming from. And goodness, a lot of these I feel strengthened through sales because a lot of it kind of relies on that, I think. Um,
Yeah, it does. It's
when I really,
interpersonal in a different way.
yeah,
Yeah.
like when you really think about it, I mean, of course the technical aspect is there. Um, but how you deal with people, how you relate to them, how you make them feel, and like how you're working through, I guess, challenging situations, I think is really important, not just for sales, but for any job, even a lab job, because again, like that stereotype, like, oh, all chemists are introverted and they don't like to talk to people, and then you don't know how to relate to people. I mean, I can absolutely see that. I've experienced a lot of that. Um,
Yeah.
you know, but goodness, I'm trying to think of other stuff. But yeah,
No, this is
um,
all a good list. Like, having
yeah,
empathy is helpful for when, you're pitching and it may not land in the right way, or you have to be understanding of people's situations,
yeah.
whether it's financial or timelines, or, there's
Mhm.
deadlines that you have to be accommodating to. There's people's personal
Yeah.
reactions you have to be accommodating to, which is why reading a room is really important.
Yes.
Um,
Oh my
I think
goodness,
handling
yes.
rejection is a big one, like
Yes,
being
that's a
okay
big
with
one.
people saying no to you. And then
Yes.
that is humility too, because you have to kind of be like, okay, I did my best. I gave you everything I could. And it's okay that you said no. I can't take it
Yeah.
personal, even though it hurts.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention that is a big one. It's learning how to handle these, yeah, situations, I think with grace. Um, and yeah, it's like it's okay. I'd say like it's okay to experience all these things, and I feel like it is a learning process.
You mentioned too, having the work life balance that you were able to eventually find,
Mhm.
and having that flexibility. Also, I think is important to have as a skill, is being able to kind of take work aside and being able to still manage your personal life.
Hmm.
That's a tough one, especially when you're traveling and doing everything that you do. What does work life balance look like for you now, given what you're doing with your career?
It's definitely changed. So I know when I moved into sales, it helped me out tremendously because I was able to set my own schedule, um, book my appointments on the days that served me, and then I could take like work from home to do like more administrative tasks. Now, as my my position changed, taking on the US, and then also um, having a very lean team and at times no team, it sort of puts you in this position where you feel like, oh my goodness, I have to take this all on. And so I'll be honest, the last year or two have been really rough. And I think this was probably going to be like the inspo for my end of year post on like a LinkedIn or something, where I don't think I really did a good job of work life balance in the last year and a half. And I was very focused on, getting the sales in, very, business first, and travel. I had to do the travel. It's part of the job. And I realized that I didn't really have anything left for myself. And I could feel it, and also for like my family, I didn't have enough. um, you know, when work is like done or I shut the laptop, I realized that I didn't do a great job of keeping a sort of balance. And I think maybe you've been hearing a lot of people like controversial say, I don't believe in work life balance. Because it's like you're focused on something, you're like all in, you're focused there, but your attention is not anywhere else. So I can understand that. And, you know, I think that being in sales, it can be challenging to really find, I guess, a sort of balance, if you will, um, for both the work and the personal, because I think both can be demanding. And I think you have to be really conscious of, um, how do I say it? Like, I guess for me is maybe drawing a boundary of what
That's a
I
big
am and or
one.
I'm, or
Yeah.
I'm yeah, and I'm not what I am and what I'm maybe not going to do. This is not serving me. Why am I focusing all my time here? And I am feeling drained. I don't feel like healthy or whatever. I haven't taken time for self care. That needs to shift. So for me, at this point in time, I feel like I need to do sort of like a centering of myself
Yeah.
and finding my way back into finding sort of like what is feels more, I guess, balanced for my personal like home life, and then also what I can deliver for the job. um
Hmm.
and I mean, like I said, I think sales, I mean, I still wouldn't probably turn back and go say like, oh, I want to go back to lab, because being 8 to 5 in a place, Monday through Friday, probably wouldn't work for me anymore. And being out, once you kind of like go out, it's really hard to like come back in, if that makes sense. um
No, I know what
and
you mean.
you've kind of had like that taste of freedom. And so
Yeah.
it's
And
been really,
social interaction. You go from
yeah.
like, kind of being on your own at the lab bench, and then you go and you get to have that social aspect, which is very rewarding, but it's also a big energy exchange. That's what I
Yes.
noticed from my time in sales is like it's depleting because you're exchanging this grand amount of energy to get this
Yeah.
person to not just trust you, but also, engage with what you're trying to promote. And then you have to still go home and realize like, okay, now I gave away all this energy, where do I find it for myself? you
Yes.
know I would come home exhausted just from talking to people. It's like it's not the
Yeah.
world's most strenuous job, but because you're giving away so much of yourself in that
Yes.
interaction so that that person feels what you're trying to convey, you come home and you feel a little depleted.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need to like recharge, and you know, it's it's like if you're not able to recharge enough, or full battery, which is ideal,
Mhm.
you're kind of always running on like, oh, I'm just going to charge it enough to get myself out of the low battery range. And then you're just kind of always in that zone where you're kind of like in the red, and it's not a good place to be. So I feel like for myself, I I want to do better for the future. But I mean, I think the reality of it is sales can be very demanding. I think it really takes a more ownership, you know, of yourself, and what you're committed to really find the priorities and make them your priorities.
That's so relatable. I'm so glad that thank you for your honesty because I feel like that's what I've been coming out of is a little bit of burnout
Yes.
from everything I've experienced, and
Yeah.
it's been hard to get that footing that you're working on now and like really assessing, okay, what's fulfilling for me, what's obviously lucrative for me, but also what can I sustain?
Yeah.
Because once you exhaust yourself and really run yourself into empty, it's really hard to get yourself back up to full without, obviously you can't stop doing everything. Life
Right.
has to go on. It's definitely difficult. And I appreciate your being so honest because that's what I'm relating to the most in this conversation is just
Mhm.
finding what I can do with as passionate as I am for what I like. It also depletes quite a bit of my social and personal battery. And
Mhm.
then, I still have to do regular life, which also requires a certain amount of energy that
Yeah.
you don't always have after a full day of work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
tough stuff.
It is. It
Well,
is. It really is.
I hope our listeners can relate to that. I think more people can relate, especially given where we are now as a society more than ever. There's a
Yeah.
lot of expectations. There's a big push for output and not a lot of
Yes.
push for self reflection and self care.
Yes.
So this is definitely a heavy one to talk about, but it's probably the most relatable part of the conversation for a lot of listeners,
Mhm.
just because it's real. It's what we're all
Yeah.
going through.
It is
Yeah.
100% real, and it's hard to share that because maybe people might say, "Oh, you can't handle the job, or you're weak. You don't know how to prioritize." Sure, okay,
Yeah,
but
maybe that's true, but that doesn't help.
it doesn't help
Like,
me. But
yeah.
everyone has their own like path and journey. I understand that we all handle things in a different way, but I think recognizing it, calling it out, and also making a commitment to trying to change, your situation is also a big step. I think it is important to highlight because of yeah, just how the industry has changed, and everything has really changed. Yes, like you said, to create more output and leaves you less time, and how do we manage this moving forward? Because it's not
Yeah.
sustainable. It really isn't sustainable. And you can't operate from burnout. Like it's just not going to work, I think.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. And on a lighter note, what does excite you about your job? Like, what do you enjoy the most about what you do?
Ooh, I like being able to do something different every day. I guess in the very general sense. I mean, yes, I get to work from home, or I can fix my schedule how I want it. I can see different people every day. Um, Sometimes I'm traveling to a different part of the country or internationally, which has been amazing experience for me. And I guess people would say one of the perks of sales, but let's not get it twisted. It still work. I guess the possibilities of maybe what sales brings, being able to grow something, and also be able to even just go into a store and see a product on the shelf and say, hey, that product has my ingredient in there. Like that makes me super excited because there's so much work that goes into getting that product on the shelf, and to just be part of that makes me, not only excited, but just it just feels fulfilling to me.
Yeah, it is nice when you can show off and be like, I know, I was there. I was part of that. In my
I
little
worked
way,
really
I
hard on that
helped.
one.
Yeah. Took me months to get that sale.
Yeah, years.
Yeah.
Years.
It's crazy. But that is the most rewarding part. I think no matter where you are in our industry, the finished good and being able to see it on a shelf or have people tell you that it's great or see it featured in a magazine, it's always like, wow, thank God. It's so cool that that's like my job.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I found out about you because of your social media platform, and you mentioned
Mm.
posting on LinkedIn. What made you start posting to begin with and being consistent with like engaging with people online?
Yeah, no, that's I try to think about this and at what point I did it. I think it was a few years ago. I went to an SCC meeting for Intermountain West, and we were in Salt Lake City, Utah, and like suppliers had the chance to set up tables and sort of like a mini trade show, if you would, at this meeting. And I asked one of my industry colleagues, "Hey, could you snap my photo?" And she did. And I just said, "Hey, maybe I should just post this just to show, like, hey, I'm representing and I'm here at a meeting." And I did. And that, I don't know, I think that just kind of started as my thing. Like, I'm at a trade show, and it sounds so boring and repetitive.
No, it's
Um,
cool. I think it's so cool.
but
Like, I know that a trade show is happening outside of the US or outside of the areas of like that I'm used to in the Northeast because you
yeah.
post about it. And I'm
So
like,
I'm
I didn't
getting
even
to
know that trade
experience
show
that.
existed. Yeah.
You're like, what is that? And I was like, no, it's just an SCC meeting. But hey, and this was me also kind of being a little scrappy, I'll be honest, because when you are working for, direct for when you're working direct for a company, and maybe you don't have a ton of marketing budget, and and you're trying to grow the sales, like I just kind of had to be creative. And I figured, okay, this is a free platform and I can post on here and bring awareness, whether people want to read it or engage with it, like, okay, that's fine, but it's out there. I just kind of kept doing it, and that was kind of my thing. Was my goal was really to just kind of bring awareness to, the active ingredients and what we're about, that was cost effective and
Yeah.
could reach more people than, just being at that meeting, for example. So that was kind of like my goal, and just kind of, I guess, took off from there, really. um
Yeah, now you're your own personal representation. Now you have like your own platform and your own brand image.
yeah,
Because I know,
yeah,
like, no offense to your company, but like, I know your
yeah.
company, but I know you. Like,
Oh wow.
I
Goodness.
know where you spot up, and I'm like, oh, there she is. Or
There
like,
I
oh,
am.
she went to that too. Damn, I can't believe I missed her. Like, you know.
No, but it's been really fun, just even with posting and just meeting people like in real life, like at whatever it is, a show or a meeting, even just like a personal, like, customer meeting. And it was like, oh my goodness, like, I saw you at blah blah blah, like, oh wow, you saw that, wow. Again, I just didn't realize the impact it would have for other people in the industry, and who it could either help or educate somebody. Like, I guess I didn't realize that in that point in time, but you know, now it's been a couple years. I'm happy to be some type of resource for people, especially young people trying to get into the industry. Not just showcasing, my company, but what other possibilities there are in the industry through, the lab, R&D, sales, and on, so I think ultimately, yeah, it's just to bring more awareness, yeah, to the possibilities, I guess, of the industry, and also for you.
Yeah,
There are so
no,
many
thank
ways
you.
there are so many ways you can go, and with technology now and creativity, I feel like it can just really take you, further than what you may have imagined, because I didn't think of all this when I posted that at in Utah. Like, I just thought,
Mhm.
hey, this would be a cool
Yeah.
idea. I don't know. I tried it,
Yeah.
and so, yeah. Yeah, it's evolved. It's definitely evolved. And
Yeah, you're kind of a big deal, whether
oh,
you realize it or not. You're kind of a big deal. At the very least, you're a big deal to me. So,
oh,
there's
thank
a
you.
every time your stuff gets reposted, I'm like, "Oh, they follow her too? That's so cool." Like, it's really like our new means of communication through LinkedIn is just knowing, like, who's cool and who's not because they follow
Oh my
you
oh my gosh.
or they reposted something that you posted. So,
Pre-posted, yeah.
that's yeah.
No,
I
I
mean,
feel very flattered when that happens.
yeah, it's very cool. I think it's awesome. I haven't been bold enough to like post a ton. It is interesting to also do it on a professional platform. Like the way that
Mhm,
you've been able to build your personal network with it is very
mhm,
interesting too.
mhm,
Because, there's obviously like one way to do it on social media. I've had some folks that have been science communicators on TikTok and YouTube as
mhm.
guests. I had Perry Romanowski, who's done his full
Yeah,
seminars and stuff.
yeah,
Um, there's different avenues now for you to convey your message and be seen on for our industry and give visibility to our industry. And your platform is one of those big ones to me that obviously makes an impression. So thank you for sharing all that stuff with us. And I hope
yeah.
that more cool things come down the pipeline too.
Oh my goodness, yeah, thank you so much. I am still, every day figuring out maybe what would I post next. And I think at the heart of it is really just having fun. I mean, LinkedIn, yes, it's a more professional site, but yeah, I think you can absolutely utilize the different platforms to amplify your message, promote your company, or promote yourself as well, and what you offer to the industry. So I think people will take notice. Just
Yeah, you
try
got to use it more.
it.
I love
Definitely,
that. Yeah.
definitely to
Take
your advantage.
advantage.
Yes,
Yeah.
to your advantage. Absolutely. Because you're the
Well,
creator, and, and you put
yeah.
it out
That's
there.
good advice, especially when you're starting out. I think if you're young and you can
Mhm.
promote yourself on LinkedIn the most, or at least build out your network on LinkedIn, it's very helpful to
Yeah.
have that as a foundation for, if you do end up in sales or if you end up in an industry, like you already have those connections that you can reach out to. So
Yeah.
definitely sound advice for younger folks who are also going to, navigate
Oh,
getting into the industry or looking for people to connect with like this,
yeah.
like we've been able to do today, where
Yeah,
it's like, I just kind of slid
exactly.
into your DMs and I was like,
You
hey,
did.
hey,
And
what are
I
you
love
doing?
that. I'm like, oh my gosh. I love getting messages from people. Like, it's nice to be able to, like, when people reach out and they want to connect. I find that just a really great feeling to be able to help other people, in their journey through the industry, because I know it's not easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for the conversation, for everything that you've shared and being so
Yeah.
honest and, making me laugh because I needed it too. Sometimes we have to just like really not take it all so seriously and just enjoy
Yeah.
it for what it is, or at least just get the task done.
Hmm.
Um, I have one question that I ask all of my guests. It's a little bit of
Yeah.
a deeper question, but I feel like it always gives a really great answer. What's something you would tell your younger self given what you know now?
I would say trust yourself. I would say to myself, trust yourself, because just being so young, and um, you know, you're out in the world trying to figure it out, let alone figure out how to, get into an industry, being met with so many, I guess, challenges and naysayers. I think really challenged me. It made me feel insecure in a lot of ways. I think took me a bit longer to kind of find my footing. not just in the industry, but as an adult. And I look back and think, gosh, if I would have just like trusted, myself more, like I could do this, I could navigate it, I could talk to that person, I could handle rejection, that I would have probably gone a lot further. Maybe in my 20s. I don't like to think of it that way, but I think the lesson for myself, if I were to look back and tell my younger self, was to just trust yourself and go out there and do it, be confident, and find your way, find your path. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I definitely needed to hear that today. That and, being okay with, you said it earlier, like being okay with failure and
Yeah.
just trusting the fact that it's like, okay, if it doesn't work out, it's fine. I can do something else.
Yep.
Um, I struggled. I just turned 31
Oh
a
my
couple weeks
gosh.
ago.
So
And
young.
I I feel like I'm ancient, but okay. I feel like my life is
No.
over because my 20s, I spent so much time doubting myself. I feel like I didn't
Yeah.
take the grand leaps, like I didn't do the things because I didn't trust that I was going to be okay. So I
Yeah.
just like stayed still for too long. So I'm
Yeah.
trying now, and now that I'm in my going into my 30s now, and I'm like, okay, what can I do to be bolder and like really lean into what you just said and like trust my
Yeah.
choices and trust myself. So
Hmm.
thank you for sharing that, because I don't know how to do it yet, but hearing that
Yeah.
advice, it's very sound advice to realize like there's so much you can do if you just lean into your own understanding and your own,
Yeah.
your own personal choices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you should go for it. You should.
Thank you. Yeah,
You
I think
absolutely should.
I'm getting closer and closer every day as far as confidence. I think also it comes with like age and a little bit of, your brain
Yeah,
finally
that
develops
too.
a little bit better. I have to do it even though I'm terrified. Um
Yes.
so all of this is coming together as a nice little piece of advice of you
Hmm.
we learned from some of our other guests that you have to do it scared. You have to
Hmm.
not seek perfection was another one that
Hmm.
we shared. Can't
Yeah.
be so tough on yourself.
Yeah.
You have to trust yourself, which is the one that you just shared. And I have to just commit to myself. You have to just be trust that you know best for yourself.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Bet on yourself. You got this.
This has been so fun. I am so happy that I got to meet you and chat with you. I've been
Oh
wanting to
no,
chat with you
same.
for a long time. I think that your platform is something that I've considered very helpful. It's been very
I'm
inspiring
glad.
to realize that you can just share really cool moments, and you can share the cool aspects of your career and not feel weird about sharing it on a social media platform, which um I think we overthink too many things, and we should just
Yeah.
share what we want to, and be
Hmm.
okay with telling our stories and being honest. So, thank you
Yeah.
so much for taking the time to talk to me.
No, thank you for having me. This was so much fun.
I'm proud to announce that you can find the Glam Chemist podcast on any platform that shares podcasts. You can also find us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Lemonade. Be sure to follow our content so that you know who our new guests might be every week. Also, use that platform to ask any questions or suggest anyone that you would like to participate in the podcast. This entire platform is for you. We will work together to build this community, and my goal is to share all the information you might need. So feel free to ask. I'll do my best to speak to those folks so that we can all share in the conversation. New episodes will be released every Wednesday. You'll hear some familiar voices and find some new ones. The Glam Chemist podcast is a Hija de Lolitas production. The episode's jingle was created by Producer AI. Recording and editing is done by your host, Genesis Velazquez.